What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today we are going to be doing episode number 2 of the brand new series, The Local Experience. Now, quite a lot has actually happened this past week. So episode 1, if you had seen it already, I was running cool tunes at my local environment. A lot of kind of things to take in and adapt. So what has happened since then? Well, this week, just gone, the Spirit Charmers Dex has been released. So what that kind of does when you're going to a local environment, if it's obviously more meta, which we'll talk about a little bit later on with Burst Protocol and the new Forbidden Limited list, they will kind of affect the local environment. Now, I don't expect anyone at my local environment to be playing the Spirit Charmers, but you just need to keep it in the back of your mind that someone might want to turn up, test it out, and you might need to be prepared to face something a little bit new and something a little bit different. But on top of that, we got a brand new Forbidden Limited list. That doesn't come into effect until the 2nd of February, which is going to be after the Burst Protocol Premier events. So technically, this is the last locals that I'll be going to that will involve Full Power Yummy, Draco Tail, Mitsu, and everything else in between. So there's still like so much you need to kind of take into account. Luckily for me, the deck that actually won the poll by 28%, and the second one was 26%, was Cool Tunes. The second one was with 26% was the Heka Hands, which was either going to be Heka Hands, Kashtira, or Chimera. Then joint on 23% each was Radiant Typhoon Fiendsmith and Spirit Charmer Fiendsmith. So that's quite interesting. So that being said, I've got all the decks in front of me anyway. But it does look like we're going to be going for Cool Tunes on this one. Now, the benefit of that is that Cool Tunes haven't changed. The only thing that's going to happen with Cool Tunes is that post-Burst Protocol, so next Sunday, when episode 3 doesn't come out, but like episode 3 will come out on the 2nd of February, we'll be playing via the new Forbidden Limited list and post-Burst Protocol. So that will also involve the Zarlan. And luckily for me, Zarlan was a super rare, and if you got to see the Influencer openings, you would have seen that I actually pulled 2 of them. So I've got the ability to play 2 if I need to. I'm actually going to be looking to pick up like a couple more at locals, just because I think it's a really good card and it's nothing too crazy expensive. Now, I'm at a different environment right now, so I'm not going to be able to do double screen for you both, for you all to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it away from me here, and I'm going to take you through the Cool Tunes and kind of talk you through what I'm considering putting back, what I'm considering adapting, and then what we'll do is we'll lead into the duels like I've done before, and I'll also try and do a couple more like vlog styles, like round reviews and everything else, like then and there, and then do an overall kind of, not so much highlight, but an overall kind of breakdown at the end of it. So, you 2 seconds, I'm going to swap the camera around, and you'll be able to see exactly what I am looking at. Okay, so apologies for the makeshift kind of setup. As I said, I'm currently not at my normal kind of recording situation, like area. But yeah, I haven't changed a lot. If I'm going to be completely honest, not a lot has changed. We're still running pretty much the standard lineup. The only thing that is to my detriment is I sold my ultra rare deck core. And I'm still waiting on my my third Cool Tune mix to turn up. So this list will be played with only 2 Cool Tune mix. Whether I find that as a massive issue or not, time will soon tell. I think it will probably be quite a big issue. But yeah, we'll see. The other things that I've kind of considered is the last episode, I talked about the Fallen and the Virtuous, Fallen of Albaz, and then Herald of the Orange Light. Now, I still quite like the application of the Herald of the Orange Light, just because it gives me the level 2, like, if I talk to everyone and everyone's like, well, the reason that we play or the reason that you would consider playing the Gamma package, so like Gamma and Delta, is for the pure fact that they're level 2 tuners. Well, I'm like, well, I might as well play Herald of the Orange Light. Like, to me, Herald of the Orange Light is still that level 2 tuner. You're still playing 3 level 2 tuners because you'll play 3 Herald of the Orange Lights, whereas you would play the 1 Gamma and 2 Delta. So that's your 3 for 3 already set up. But then on top of that as well, it gives you that ability that if you already put a monster on the field, you can still use Herald. Now, I get it, obviously Delta will help you deal with spells, but as I've already mentioned, Gamma's kind of good for going first, but Delta is obviously more prone for going second because your opponent's not really going to have spell cards that are going to directly interact with you. So there's just a lot of kind of bits to consider. Now, I definitely want to put in the third Thorn and the Virtuous, so we're going to try that out today. I'm still sticking with the Quem and the Albaz. I just like it. I think it's like a really kind of cool deterrent that not a lot of people expect. Yes, unfortunately, Quem doesn't really synchro with anything for you. Technically, it could synchro over level 2 to then make you your loudness war. So that's something you might want to kind of take into account. So I'm still going to stick with these. Desires is still a bit of a question. It's whether you're going to play Desires or Extra, but because I'm playing the Thorn and the Virtuous, I still want to stick with Desires. So that's pretty much going to stay the same. For the Extra, again, everything kind of stays the same. The only difference is that I'm not... I have a bit of space if I wanted to sub out a remix. So only play 2 remix rather than 3. And in doing so, I might then put in a second Albion just for that reason. Because I'm going to open up the space a little bit more. And it means that my Thorn and the Virtuous can become access to Quem, or it could become access to a second Thorn and the Virtuous. But the chances are you're going to use your first one to go Titaniclad, and then you go Quem into Albaz, and then you still open up the door for like Albion to be your fusion material. So I'm still going to stick with that. I'm still going to test that out. For the side deck at the moment, still 2 Perulia, 2 Meows, 3 Nibiru on this one. I'm still going to stick with the 3 evenly. I still think that it's going to put work in. I'm personally going to play 2 Droll. I'm still going to I'm going to go by the updated Forbidden Limited list because I don't think it's that much of a major, major change. Just to kind of give me a bit of an understanding of whether I think that it's worthwhile or not. And then for the final 2 cards, I'm currently contemplating whether I want to play Dark Rule No More. I'm not going to play Iron Thunder if I do choose it. I'm actually going to try out Gravity Collapse and see if Gravity Collapse is more consistent and more effective for me. But again, that's just kind of a different... Just testing these theories out. Because, the local environment's going to be a little bit different. I'm not too sure if everyone's going to be like, right, cool, this is the last hurrah. We're going to max out and play, Draco Tail the way it used to be. And we're going to play... Yummy the way it used to be and Mitsu the way it used to be, or if everyone's going to be like, you know what, we'll get ourselves semi-prepared for the new Forbidden Limited list and play it that way instead. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. I do also have the Radiant Typhoons here with me. I feel that they're going to change probably the most and their competitive value post Burst Protocol and the Forbidden Limited list fully coming into play. I do also have the Headcan Chimeras here with me as well, so I want to be testing them out a little bit more, and there will be a profile for them coming out this week. I just need to double check that it reflects the Forbidden Limited list. I can't remember if I recorded it before or after that dropped. But yeah, so that's kind of part number 1. I will try and give you an update of like what matchups I face, give you the duels as well, so you can kind of see the highlights in action. And then kind of go from there. And then I'll be back technically after this video, as this video plays out, I'll be back a little bit later on to kind of talk through the actual matchups, how the tournament went, any further changes I'd want to make, and any kind of cards that did or did not work. So thanks so much for joining this one. Apologies for this kind of like low energy. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, which is really annoying, but this is the difference between talking about like setting your deck up the night before and then setting the deck up on the morning of. I'll go from that, give you some feedback, and then we'll work from there. So back in a second. Okay, so this is a highlight from round number 1. So we see my opponent's got Zombie Vampire. This is where I choose to use Ghost Spell on it. They use Triple Tactic Talents. Kind of the way this is processed through, I held the Ash. They didn't need to use him set. They hard open up the King Sarcophagus. They utilized the talents to look at my hand. And what put back is kind of a little bit telling, because if they're fearful of the Ash Blossom, the Ash goes back, and if they're not, it kind of stays in the hand. The second clip from this duel is that they start off with Battery Man, Solar. It gets hit with the Herald of Orange Light. The only risk on this one is if they got a Bestial or a Banish card. And then I draw for turn, and that's pretty much it, so they had to pass. Then so this is kind of like towards the end of the game. This is just to show like the OTK that can be done here. So we go battle phase, we attack with Rico, we attack with Remix, as they do have a monster in the grave, like a tuner in the graveyard. Because I'm pretty sure they hand interacted with me on this one. We activate Cool Tune Synchro just in case I can't complete the game. But we're also just going to go straight into the RS. Make sure there's enough tuners in the graveyard. So at the moment, my opponent's at 45. And all I need to do is get enough to get the final 3,500 worth of damage. And once you're in a simplified game state with RS on the field, you're in a pretty good position. So then moving into round number 2. So round number 2 is up against Yugioh. This just kind of shows. So like this is game 3. Game 1, I was able to kind of win it under Fua and everything else like this one. This is just to kind of show where I messed up last time. I was so worried about Spirit. But I've made 2 RSs here. I haven't used either of the RS effect. There is, I believe, more than 10 tuners in the graveyard. I think there's 11. So it makes both of the RS a base of 4,000. So we attacked with the first one. They took that hit. Then on the second declaration, they summoned down the Spirit. And I think this is where they kind of messed up a little bit, is that they didn't think about the RS negation. So the RS that has declared the attack that summoned down the Spirit, I could use the effect to negate the Spirit and then attack through the Spirit for 4,000. So even if it floats, that's still game. Moving into round number 3, so this is up against the Labyrinth one. This is just to kind of show you like how important Ghost Bell is. So they use Ice Dragon's Prison, that gets hit with Ghost Bell, we scoop it up, we go into game number 2. In game number 2, the exact same thing happens. Ice Dragon Prison, and that kind of stops. And I'll just show them the rest of the hand. So they had the Welcome Labyrinth, and I had the Ash for that. So it was kind of like a end of there. Moving into the final round. So this is like round number 4. This is game number 2. So just showing that I'm facing down a Kashtira Enfield from my opponent's Orcus build. So there is the 1 Fenrir, the 1 Unicorn. We activate the Cool Tune Synchro. And this is kind of when my opponent played it quite well, is that I was holding the Cool Tune Synchro back to dodge targeted effects such as Fenrir, but then they had the Fallen and the Virtuous. So the Fallen and the Virtuous, like you could still technically produce a Synchro Summon, but as you resolve this chain backwards, you would resolve the Cool Tune Synchro, you would search out the monster, then attempt to Synchro Summon, but there'll be no monster left on the field, and then Cool Tune Q would summon the one from the deck, and ultimately it kind of came like a bit of a grinding game too. And there's just not really a lot you can do because, like, Unicorn ripping the extra isn't that big of an issue because you play a lot of free ofs. Apart from taking away the 2 Fallen and the Virtuous targets, it's probably like the worst thing it can do. And yeah, I think from this point on, it's not really a lot that could be done here. And then this is game number 3. So this is me set up with the Naturia Rose Whip, thinking it's enough, but this is where I like kind of hold it too long, is I don't see the Chaos Angel come in. So using the World Crown plus a Gearsu of a Dark to target to banish the Naturia Rose Whip. I had the Remix in order to kind of summon itself out. To tribute itself off and then produce a Synchro Summon. And ultimately I didn't kind of like, I kind of held it a little bit too long, which was a bit of a disappointment. Like, but that's just because I didn't see the Chaos Angel come in. Like if I kind of like preemptively saw that Chaos Angel was going to be the summon, then I would have done it. But I kind of assumed it to go into like a Link 2 or anything, and I'm kind of contemplating my choice on this one, whether I can save the Naturia Rose Whip, and ultimately I just can't. And then they get to snowball after that. So that's all 4 rounds from locals. I'll try and put the duels out again separately this week as well if you want to be seeing them in like their elongated forms to see how the plays work, and kind of go from there. But now I'm going to get back home and give you a breakdown of how the entire deck did at this locals. Okay guys, so we're back from locals. I ended up getting 2nd place actually, which is really good. So the deck started to perform, like a little bit of learning curve. I started to learn, some of the bits, like some of the plays that needed to be made. So I started to find out that I actually lean into Remix a little bit more, is pretty much more beneficial. I'll show you the list in a second. You would have just seen or heard all of the commentary from the duels as well. But just as a highlight, there were 11 players at this locals. First place was Orcus Azamina. Second place was myself on K9. And third, I should really have checked. I think third was Madolce's. So my matchups were round 1. Gotta try and remember these now. Round 1, what was my round 1? Apologies to my round 1 opponent, but that was it. I was playing Dan on his Thunder Dragon Horus, which you can imagine, like if I get hit with a Colossus, it's quite annoying to deal with, but that was a really good matchup. Round number 2 was against Yugioh, and that was something that I failed to win in the last locals, and I was able to win this local, so that was kind of good kind of progress with the deck. Round number 3 was up against Labyrinths, which I was worried about Labyrinths because I was like, you know what, I'm not kind of prepared for a control style deck. I got quite lucky in winning the dice roll from that one on, and then once you kind of get RS into rotation, it really does simplify the game, and as long as you're able to constantly use Rico to destroy their spells and traps, you start to gain a lot of momentum. And then round number 4 was against Orcust. Now, I hadn't really played against Orcust properly. It was actually a really good duel, actually, back and forth. Like, I was able to win the dice roll. I won game number 1. Game number 2, they went first. I wasn't really able to break the field. And then game number 3, they were just able to push through my field. Like, I decided to end my field a little bit weaker under Fua, but I really wanted to get the Rose Whip onto the field. So I got to the Rose Whip, and I held quite a bit back. And it didn't really come to fruition as much as I would have liked to. Like, they were just able to outgrind my field and then eventually just kick on from there. So what I'll do is I'll do the exact same thing again, is I'll swap the camera around so you can see everything that I'm talking about, and I'll talk you through like the MVP cards and if there's any cards I would like to change or what I'd want to go from there. So we'll be back in a second. Okay, so nothing really massively out of the ordinary. Like for the extra deck was 2 Loudness War. I'm actually quite comfortable cutting this down to 1 post the new support, but until we get the new support, we'll talk about that again a little bit later on. 3 RS I think is like non-questionable. 3 Trapmaker I still think is non-questionable as well. Like, it's such a good card to go into, and the fact you can go in during your opponent's turn can work out really nicely. And then I was on 3 Remix. The reason I was on 3 Remix is right at the last minute, like literally after I recorded the first part of this video, I was like, oh, you know what? I actually want to try out the K9 package with Ripper. Only I decided against it because I stuck with SP Little Knight and then 3 targets for Fallen the Virtuous. That being said, I never summoned Mirror Jade, and I actually found myself siding out the Albaz and the Quem. Like, it is a little bit copium. It's not a guaranteed. Fallen the Virtuous, perfect. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. I think if anything, I would go with 2 Albions, and that would be it, and then open up a space. The question then kind of came was, what 4 cards would you take out in the main deck in order to fit in the K9 package? And honestly, there's not really anything you'd want to take out. So the standard 3 clips, 3 Qs, one of the MVPs of today. Like, I had a very good conversation with Ari, who, you know, they questioned it. They were like, why are you playing Herald of the Orange Light? Like, you've only got 3 Q and you've got 1 Red Nova. Like, they're your other fairy targets. I was like, it's very true, but what you need to take into account, or the way that I looked at it is, this is taking up the space of the Gamma package for me. Like, the Gamma package is 1 Gamma, 2 Delta, and then a driver. Whereas the Herald of the Orange Light is 3 Herald of the Orange Lights. You are adding, like, there's loads of pros and cons, right? So the pros of the Gamma package is it's, as Ari very rightly points out, it's not a neg 1, unless you open up driver. But then the way I looked at it, I was like, at the end of the day, they're all level 2 tuners, so that can't even really be brought up into question. What I liked about Herald of the Orange Light is that I can constantly search out Q when I want it. So if I've already got 1 Q in hand, I search out another one and I'm covered. And it means I'm covered no matter what I present to the field. No one sees Herald of the Orange Light coming. Everyone expects with the Gamma pack is like, once you put a monster on the field, straight away it's like, yeah, cool, the Gamma pack is never happening. So the same argument with the like Cyframe package is, oh, well, if it's become dead, you just use it as synchro material. And it's like, well, yeah, that's exactly what I do with this. If it's on its own, I still use it as synchro material. The other benefit is that it can be normal summoned, and the benefit of that one is that it can become the additional normal summon, or it can be the tribute of the tuner. Use JJ Cool Tune and send it to then get you access to a tuner. So it has that little bit of an edge over Gamma as well. But if I'm being honest, these 2 cards today were like MVPs. Even though I'm only playing 2 Bells, like Bell put in a lot of work in the Orcus matchup. The Orange put in work in all other matchups. And then the Ghost Belt also put in a lot of work against the Labyrinth matchup. So I'm actually quite happy with these. It's pretty much the exact same list as before. The only difference is I've only got 2 mixes in here because I only own 2 mixes. So the way that I look at it is, if I wanted to put the K9 package into the deck, I would, right now, and that's probably going to be the next stage of testing for this, is I would still keep in the 2 Fallen and the Virtuous. I would take out the Quem and the Albaz, and then I would add in the 3 Azuna, the 1 Lupus, and then the Ripper in the extra deck. Like, that's literally all you would change. The only benefit is that your Quem can become your level 4 tuner if you want to go into Loudness War, but I'm not relying on that. Maybe this becomes a little bit like more effective post the new support. So for the next kind of phase, I'm kind of happy keeping everything the same as it is. I would just take these two out, and I'm either going to put in a third form in the Virtuous, or I'm going to try out the K9 package and bump it to a 42 card deck. Everything else is pretty much the same. So Ashes, Veilers. If I'm being honest, I could go for a third Bell, but then Bell's like one of these questionable cards where it's like, this matchup is amazing, this matchup is not so good. But everything else is the same. Desires actually was quite good for me today, apart from once actually. I take that back. Desires was like okay. I think I desired and then drew into 2 effect failures. I was like, well, that's going to be no use to me. But I still don't mind it, actually. I actually prefer this over Extrav, especially with the way that I like to play the deck, is I like to have a bit more freedom with my extra deck. So for the side deck, I went with 3 Gravity Collapse. I never saw this. I still don't know if I prefer Iron Thunder. Maybe I do. I don't know. But because I never saw this, I can never really fully test it. 2 Meows, 2 Nibs, 2 Perulias, and 2 Dark Rulers. The other is I had a lot of good go second cards. Like if I'm going second, I've got the Furlos that I'm then adding in the Perulias, and then if I need to use Dark Rulers, I'll go for Dark Rulers and I'll go for Nibs or whatever. So I actually didn't need to be playing these all at freeze, in my opinion. It was something I wanted to test into because like if I see a Chummy, I can draw into Nib, I can draw into Dark Ruler, and I'll be absolutely fine. To counteract that, the only other card that I did play at free was Free Evenly. And again, that's kind of come down to preference. I feel that maybe if I wanted to take this approach, I could afford to, do this and open up 3 slots for like 2 Frosts and then another target. But 1 Rose Rip, like I said, like if I'm going first, I've got 4 cards I'm instantly putting in. So it's like, okay, cool, take out the 3 Furlosses, put these in, take out 1 other card that I don't want to use going first, which usually is Clip. Like if I'm going first, I don't want to hard open up the Clip. So I'd put this in for one of the third Clip, and then work it back from there. So the only other big change that will happen now, considering the next local experience episode will be a special episode which will involve both sneak events. One of them is sealed, so you only get to play with the cards you pull in your packs. The other one will be constructed, but we do it where you can use the cards from the most recent set. So I can technically play Cool Tunes, and once I find the blooming card, with the Zarian. So that'll be my next testing phase, which would be to do that. So that's pretty much it on the deck lowdown. I'm just going to open up my pack. So I've got 3 OTS 29s for second place today. Obviously, the smaller turnout, the less kind of packs you get. I'm actually not really that interested in the ultimate rares, because keeping in mind the most recent Forbidden Limited list really does kind of affect them. I actually just want Sales Band. I think Sales Band's like the best thing you can kind of get here. So let me try and focus in on these ones. So we've got a Super Doom King, Goki Jekka and a Tribogate Fractal. It's actually not a bad super rare to get, to be fair. So I want Sales Band. I want the Monarch spell card, would be cool, just because that's a nice upgrade. Obviously, if you get an ultimate rare, then happy days. Cursed Bamboo, I think, is another really good common, actually. Megalith Fuel and Mitsurugi no Mikuto Saji. Actually, don't mind the Saji either, really. Saji and Prez, I don't mind. But I think the next OTS pack comes out on the 11th of February, I think I saw. Mythical Space Typhoon, classic. DDD Super Doom King, and Mitsurugi Prez. Something's telling me to play Mitsurugis, which isn't going to happen. That's another thing as well. Is like I lent my friend Radiant Typhoons today. They ended up coming 5th. They were just kind of like testing it for YCS Dortmund, trying to see how they liked it. I like how the deck works. I think it's going to be like more fun to play post Burst Protocol. But it is what it is. I feel that like I still got Heka Hands. I've still got Heka Hands I want to play. I still want to play Radiant Typhoons, and I definitely want to keep playing Cool Tunes. I think Cool Tunes are really fun. It's just kind of once the format starts to define itself or figure itself out before we get like we're literally just getting Burst Protocol. So there's a long way to go before we get the new Cool Tune support. But for now, I want to just kind of keep testing it. I want to see how it does with the Zarlian. I think what I'm going to do is, in the next one, is I might take out one Remix and take out the Mirror Jade. And that's the one Zarlian and the one K9 Ripper. And I'll see how that goes. Like, the Ripper might be able to protect and help with quite a few bits. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Apologies for like the quality. It's kind of, you'd usually want like episode 2 to go up. Episode 2 has kind of gone like down a little bit. But like I said, you won't be able to see this, but behind camera, and if you're a little bit like, turn the headphones off, but like my nose is dribbling like mad, and I'm trying so hard to do this video, not breathing through my nose and not doing the whole like, where you try and like bring the in through your nose, where you try to go kind of thing with your nose. So I'm gonna go get a tissue. Apologies, that's not the way you should be ending a video. I hope you are enjoying these local experience videos. I will try and do like randomized, like different decks as well, just to kind of give you a bit more variety. So it's not just like the cool tune experience, but hopefully this is giving you a bit more of an insight. It's expanding the content a little bit for you, giving you a bit more an understanding of how decks develop, how I play my decks, how I develop the decks, to kind of give you a bit of an insight into the way that it's played and everything else in between. And then, like I said, I'll probably put a poll out again midweek. It won't be for this weekend, because like I said, this weekend's going to be the sneak event. But hopefully we'll have some other special edition episodes where it's like, okay, the OTS experience, the regional experience, the YTS experience would be really kind of cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.